Most shows are actually more enjoyable when their characters actually go through something that's real. But here is the problem with that. When a show spends 24 seasons putting one character through constant abuse, constantly, and never once treats it as something serious, the audience pretty much stops feeling anything at all and just becomes numb to it. Family Guy did exactly that with Meg Griffin.
Yeah, you're a smart fella, Dad.
And you're a fart smeller, Meg.
So how exactly does a show take a character who's clearly going through abuse and convince an entire audience to laugh at it instead of questioning it? To understand Meg more clearly, we have to understand that in the show, she isn't a person. She's pure misery. If she isn't suffering, the structure of the show feels wrong. This is the first and most foundational problem. She was built to suffer, not to be normal. We see this tragedy most clearly in the episode Dial Meg for Murder. When Meg returns from prison, she has finally removed the idea of being a victim from her mind. She asserted dominance all over the place. She scared her family, and for a brief moment, the narrative had completely shifted.
I gotta say, Meg, I like you so much better like this.
Me too, Meg. God, it must have been horrible in there.
That wasn't so bad.
But look at how the story proceeds after that. It doesn't even allow Meg to have a character arc for one whole episode. It treats it like some kind of glitch. And suddenly, everything reverts back to the way that it was previously, leaving all of the fans with redemption hanging on the line, reinforcing the idea that no matter how much Meg evolves, her primary role and her only role is to be the victim. It's soul-crushing and at the same time depressing. The story is essentially telling us you can go to prison, you can get strong, but you will always come back to your previous form to be yelled at. This is more or less a refusal to allow a character to breathe. In many ways, Meg's prison stint was the most human she ever was, or ever will be, because it showed she had a breaking point. But by resetting the clock, the show tells us that a victim's breaking point doesn't matter. The narrative is the ultimate decision maker at the end of the day. There are a whole lot of episodes to cover at this point, but we get to see probably the most severe cruelty in the episode A Fistful of Meg, when a student at her school starts terrorising her, and then later that day beating her up. It's clearly visible that there's no form of solution or a moment of parental protection from the Griffins. If she was my kid, I would have sued that bully straight into prison. Instead, it's seen that her family finds suffering normal and thinks of it as what all kids her age go through. It's written as if her being beaten up is just another moment in her life. This one was quite hard to watch because the storytelling actively excludes the audience from feeling any kind of empathy, and instead frames the beating as something funny. It feels like the storytelling has decided she isn't worth the effort of a rescue. Even in death, she isn't allowed peace. In the episode Better Off Meg, she's mistakenly declared dead.
Peter, Lois, it pains me above the waist to tell you that Meg is dead.
What?
What we found was Meg's driver's license at the scene.
She finds a brief window of freedom to explore new places and becomes a new person, a chance to be anyone else she desires to become.
Out fine. This time will be better than previous times. This time is markedly.
But she returns to her past life with her family.
I'm alive!
Meg!
You're probably thinking, why the hell did she do it? It's because the storytelling dictates that she has no identity outside of the one where she's constantly abused. She's so hollowed out by the narrative that she chooses the familiar pain over the unknown freedom. And don't even get me started on the episode Don't Make Me Over.
Wow, great job getting hot, Meg.
Gee, thanks.
She's seen getting herself a makeover, which lets her experience some fraction of popularity. And then the show strips it all away in one episode, reverting her to the old, ugly state, as if her humanity is tied to that pair of glasses that she wears.
Being impressed by my husband's accomplishments at work.
Hey, Lois, guess who got to erase the whiteboard in a meeting today?
It's a constant cycle of giving her hope just to sharpen the knife. But the ultimate insult lies in the episode A Fistful of Meg, where it's revealed that Peter changed Meg's real name to Megatron on her birth certificate.
Peter, would you give this to the nurse?
Robots in disguise.
Like, who has the energy to do something like that to his own kid? From the moment she entered this show, she was seen to be the dumping ground for suffering. The second layer to this tragedy surrounding Meg is how the storytelling transforms the abuse done to Meg into some kind of circus show. It's like receiving an invitation to watch Meg being abused with some popcorn and drinks. In the episode 15 Minutes of Shame, the story pulls a move that is genuinely haunting. Meg tries to fix her family status on a talk show.
Today's guest is tired of being embarrassed by her family.
Meg, how did you get these tickets again?
Let's bring them up right now.
Meg, whatever problems we have can be settled in the privacy of
The Griffin family.
Only for the narrative to replace her with a sexier actress in a reality show.
Jason Gallagher.
Present.
Meg Griffin.
Oh, sorry I'm late, Mr. Taylor.
Her family then ignores the real Meg in public. Think about that. Her own family looks through her because a better version of her exists for the camera. The storytelling here is basically saying that the real Meg is too boring or too depressing to even be seen in public. It's most likely meant to feel like a gag. This erasure of Meg is not a one-time thing. It's a recurring theme. The show constantly hints that Meg is unpleasant or gross, yet we see her being the only one with some sort of morals in the show. We're continuously told that Meg is the problem, while we watch her family commit literal crimes against her on different episodes just for gags.
Dad! What is it? What's going on? I heard a noise. Is somebody downstairs?
Oh, God, Meg, you startled me.
It gets even more depressing in the episode Girl Interneted. Meg becomes an internet celebrity for her gross health habits and medical issues.
Woo! Check it out! Boom! Mini cream. Oh, and what's this? Strawberry yogurt? Everything here is made with corn syrup. Just drink the corn syrup!
Her body decaying is literally broadcasted for likes and views, using her suffering as content. Then, there's no part in the storytelling where it treats her infected sores or medical neglect as a tragedy. It's an admission from the story that she's only valuable when she's falling apart or abused to the extreme. But perhaps the most callous moment is in 8 Simple Rules for Buying My Teenage Daughter. Peter sells Meg into slavery to pay off his pharmacy tab. He treats her as a commodity, a literal object to be traded for pills. Our reaction here is, well, it's pure disgust. How do you write a scene where a father sells his daughter and still keep it in the genre of comedy? By stripping Meg of her humanity so the audience doesn't feel the weight of the crime. And when the story needs a wacky supernatural plot, where does it go? To Meg's body. In Petergeist, her backside is the portal to the spirit world.
If this works, then we might just have a chance at getting Stewie back. Are you ready?
No!
Ready!
Okay, here we go.
Got it! Stewie, you're all right.
It's a literal violation of her physical body for a laugh. Even her biological origin is a joke. The recurring flashback of her being dumped at a fire station as a baby set the tone.
You remember when we took Meg?
The storytelling clearly tells everyone that Meg was trash to be disposed of from the start. In any story, if you hit someone, they bruise up. If you break someone, they'll stay broken until they heal. But in the world of Family Guy, this is quite different, especially for Meg Griffin. The storytelling is not that reliable. It follows a certain sequence where trauma happens to Meg, then the screen fades to black, and shortly after that, the reset button is hit. And in the next episode, things are back to the previous state, and still, Meg is being abused like nothing happened. The most infamous example is the Seahorse Seashell Party.
Coming from my role model mother, the shoplifter, the drug addict, the porn star, the whore who let Gene Simmons and Bill Clinton go to town on her?
Oh, so what?
In complete embarrassment, in every possible way. Take a good look at yourself, Peter Griffin. You're a waste of a man.
Meg is seen delivering the most honest, bone-chilling speech in the show's history, calling out her family for their years of abuse and bullying. Truly speaking, we thought that was going to be a turning point for the show moving forward from that moment. where the abuse and bullying of Meg would finally come to an end. But the story had decided that for the family to function like a normal one, Meg must still be the victim and accept it. And what did Meg do? She chose it, like it was her destiny, or like she was born to be the family's sacrifice by staying in her role.
Maybe it's just my lot in life to provide. Maybe if I feel bad, they don't have to.
Wow. That's insane. If you think about it, this is the most dangerous piece of storytelling in the series. It's saying to victims that their role in life is to absorb the abuses done to them by others, so the important, or at least the ones considered to be the important people, can stay happy. And in this specific show, it's shown by ensuring Meg's pain has no permanent impact on the family members. This episode is essentially, word for word, a platform for abuse. It argues that Meg's strength is her ability to be a lightning rod to the family.
You're right. It's all my fault.
What?
Wrong. I took all my problems out on you guys, and that wasn't fair.
Oh, so this was all about you. It wasn't about us.
Yeah.
But that isn't strength. It's more or less a narrative hostage situation. By making Meg explicitly state that she wants to be the victim for the sake of her status, the show discharges the family of all guilt. It's kind of a horrific way to do it. We see this reset taking place again after the episode 8 Simple Rules for Buying My Teenage Daughter.
Told you my daughter.
Huh?
You drop the tab and your son can have Meg. Yep, all you gotta do is sign this contract.
Are you out of your mind? You can't sell me, you fat son of a bitch!
Whoa, careful getting this fish off the hook, Mort. She's got some fangs.
Meg is seen being sold to another family to cover her dad's debt at a local pharmacy. And then the next episode, she's back at the table like nothing happened. No police or, I don't know, bloody social workers or something. She goes through these fucking terrible things in her life in the episodes, and then she pops back up for the next scenes like we didn't just see her drag a huge plow in her owner's backyard.
Boy, this was a better acquisition than I thought. We may even be able to put in some sorghum this year.
It even reaches a peak of absurdity when her kidney's stolen.
To us. Meg, if you were any more beautiful, that'd be neat.
So what should we do next? Oh my God! Toby, what happened?
Oh, I just harvested your kidney.
Look at the size of the score!
Sorry, it's my first day on this job.
And there's not even a medical aftermath or a recovery arc. Or maybe, I don't know, a legal pursuit afterwards. No, she's even seen talking to the guy who stole her kidney.
Promise my boss is a fresh kidney. No hard feelings.
Wait! You also made a promise to me! You promised we'd spend Valentine's Day together. The whole day.
Then there's also the episode where rancid meat is thrown all over her.
Oh, this meat stinks something fierce.
This ought to knock her down a couple notches.
The show treats her as a literal bin. And because there's no deep scene of her being all emotional and crying about all of the things that are happening to her, the audience of the show has already assumed the thought that it doesn't really hurt her. Even when her mother Lois is caught making out with Meg's boyfriend at their house.
Here's.
Kiss me.
Mom, I forgot my keys. Do you know where...
Rape?
The betrayal done by Lois is completely erased by the next scene that takes place. So there's no aftermath. After every physical and mental abuse done to Meg, it seems by now that the show even refuses to acknowledge that Meg has a memory of any kind. In healthy storytelling, siblings are seen as the backup. People you have by your side, no matter what. But here it feels like the storytelling ensures that we won't be seeing that anytime soon. Her brothers, Chris and Stewie, aren't her allies. They're more like her tormentors. Looking at the episode where Chris kidnaps Meg after she was presumed dead.
What is it?
Let's talk about it in the van.
Chris, what are you doing?
Instead of mourning his sister or doing whatever he can to bring her back to life, he treats her like a hostage to protect a lie he's made up. It's a betrayal of the sibling bond that's played for laughs and gags. This dynamic is particularly tragic because Chris is often the only other loser in the family. They should be bonded by their shared exclusion, but the story instead makes Chris a participant in her bullying to ensure she has absolutely no people to call her own.
Unbelievable. There's hardly anyone here. Well, that's it. I'm off to a new town.
Then there's the unforgettable part, where Stewie headbutts Meg straight in the face.
Oh, do you want a hug from your big sister?
Even the baby in the house knows that Meg is the target of all of the family members. And the most haunting image was when Peter threw Meg off of the boat in front of her sibling.
It's working.
Just need a little more.
They don't jump in, they don't yell, they just continue doing what they were doing. And that is just standing in the middle of the boat. The storytelling has conditioned them, and also us, to see Meg's drowning as just another ordinary moment. The flow of the story occasionally lets us see that Meg is the most talented person in Quahog, only to snatch it away as if it never happened. In the episode Don't Make Me Over, we hear her sing. It's beautiful.
Rainbow! Found me a rainbow!
Rainbow!
It's a talent that could drastically change her life and even take her out of that house forever. But her singing skills were never seen or mentioned ever again. This is clearly erasing Meg's potential. In another episode, Meg is shown playing instruments with proficiency. But the plot only cares when she's failing. She also can play all of the instruments all at once.
Oh, you know, not much.
What a unique, high-level skill that is. All her talents are mentioned throughout scenes, once as a weird fact, and then they're buried forever, never to be seen again. Meg is also a natural athlete, showing off her athletic abilities, but she isn't allowed to celebrate or show off her talents as she wants to. She even got into a top-tier college.
It's from Brown. I've been accepted!
Hey, that's great news.
Meaning she's smarter than Peter and Chris combined. But the storytelling keeps her in the cycle of being miserable every single time. You're probably asking, why's that? Because if Meg goes out to be a successful singer or a college graduate, then all of those jokes wouldn't have a place to land at all. The story intentionally sabotages her successes to keep the status of Meg's suffering alive. When you look at all of these problems together, a larger pattern emerges. That Meg doesn't just suffer, she's been programmed to think that resistance is completely futile. Think about the sheer number of times Meg has tried to run away. She's tried to join the Olympics, she's tried to find new parents, she's even tried to join a cult to feel like she belonged somewhere.
My children, rejoice, the hour of transformation is close at hand. Who are you? Adolescent desperately seeking acceptance from an undifferentiated ego mass that demands conformity.
Wow, that sort of sounds more like me.
As a viewer, you start to feel the same hopelessness that Meg does. You stop rooting for her because you know the narrative will just hurt her more if you do. And that's the real tragedy. Meg Griffin is the direct definition of a character with no way out. She's a victim of her family, but mainly she's a victim of storytelling that decided that getting trashed around was her only purpose. In the end, Meg is the only real person in a house full of mockery, and that's why her suffering feels so much worse than others. What we need are more characters that survive and thrive, and not characters who are kept in a perpetual state of trauma for the sake of a laugh. Meg deserves a better story. She deserves an ending that isn't a punchline. But as long as her status remains, she'll remain the most tragic figure in animation. This was not an easy video to make, but we wanted to say that if you enjoyed Family Guy and Meg Griffin as a character, that's fine. Not Fair Studios doesn't want you to walk away from this thinking your opinion is less than ours. Also, everything we've said in this video is in relation to wanting for the show to improve in the remaining seasons, if there are any left. Okay, this has been quite a mess, but hopefully it's a mess that makes you look a little closer at the storytelling and representation of some characters in the shows that you consume. Subscribe, or you know what, don't. Make your own choices in life. Don't be a Meg. Anyway guys, cheerio!